This video demo will go over your transaction management dashboard and your transaction dashboard and how to navigate around your transaction dashboard. So when you first log into Reesio, what you see here is your main transaction management dashboard. So all of the information here pertains to the transaction management portion of your product. So you can always access the dashboard by clicking on the upper grid navigation here and clicking on Dashboard under the Transaction Management section of the product. Now, if you are in the transaction management part of the product, you can also access this dashboard page by clicking on Dashboard here. Now, your dashboard gives you an overview of everything that is going on in your brokerage if you are a brokerage admin. So you will be able to see tasks and transaction information for yourself as well as all brokerage members. Now, if you're a non-admin in your Reesio brokerage, you'll only be able to see tasks and transaction information that pertains to yourself. So here on the main dashboard, there's a couple of graphs to help you get a nice snapshot of everything that's happening with your transaction and tasks. So on the far right here, you have a summary of transactions that are closing in the next 7 days. So this is a nice way to highlight the transactions that you need to pay extra attention to as they're about ready to close. So clicking on any of these bar graph here will actually take you to what we call our transactions page, which is accessible here as well as in the upper grid navigation here for transactions. So your transactions page is where you'll be able to see all of your transactions. You'll be able to sort and filter and search for particular transactions. And in this case, I am getting to the transactions page via the dashboard grid, which pre-filters any transactions that are closing on the 26th here. So if I just want to go to the transactions page without filtering by any criteria here, I can just click on transactions and it will show me all of my transactions here. However, from the dashboard, in any of these graphs for transactions that are closing the next 7 days, clicking on one of the data points will pre-filter the results on your transactions page for you. Here you have transactions that have been created in the last 30 days. So again, clicking on any of these data points will take you to the same transactions page, showing you only those transactions that are related to that data point. And here you have transactions by status. So you can search for transactions by status. So maybe you want to look at all of your pending transactions. You can click on the pending status here and it will take you to your transactions list and filter out only pending transactions. And then up here we have what we call our task summary. And so you will be able to see all tasks that are due in the next 7 days, all tasks that are past due, all tasks that are not approved, or all tasks that have been flagged across your entire brokerage if you are a brokerage admin. Now, if you're a non-admin, you'll only see tasks within these criteria for yourself. So similar to the transactions page, you have what we call a consolidated tasks page. So you can access that task page by clicking on tasks, and it will take you to a consolidated list of all of your tasks. And here you can search by task title. You can filter tasks by state, review state, the approval state. You can filter by due date, task assignee or task creator. Just enter in the criteria and click apply. You can search for a task, specific tasks by entering the title, and then you can also sort by particular criteria here within these columns by clicking on the column here and sorting that way. Now from the dashboard, if you want to drill down specifically to say one of those task summary criteria is here, like I have a task that's due in the next 7 days, so I want to see what that task is. So if I click on that part of the task summary, it will take me to my task list and filter out by that particular task. So if I click on that task name, it will actually take me into that particular transaction and highlight the task that is due in the next 7 days. So let's go back to the dashboard here. So that's your task summary, your transaction summary information here, and at the bottom here you also have a summary of your commission information. So you have what we call realized and unrealized commissions. So unrealized commissions are commission related to any transaction that has not closed yet, and realized commissions are commissions related to transactions that have already closed. So again, you can click on any of these criterias and it will take you to the commissions page here. On the commissions page here, you can enter in specific commission details for a particular transaction. So in order to do so, go ahead and click on this little commissions details icon next to the transaction you'd like to enter information for. And in this commissions modal, you can select to either calculate the commission by percentage or dollar amount. So if you select percentage, you can just enter in the percentage amount that's going to the brokerage, and you can see here it calculates it based off of the contractor's sold price automatically for you, or you can also calculate or just enter in a commission amount by dollar amount and do that using the dollar calculation here. You can also enter in notes. For example, you can enter in that of the $2,500 that's coming to the brokerage here, there's a 50-50 split with the agent, and enter the details there. And now the information for your commissions has updated for this particular transaction and will also update on your transaction dashboard. So that information now has been added to your realized commissions here. So before we leave the dashboard, I just want to highlight a couple of other things here in the far left. So on your dashboard, you can update or add a brokerage logo by clicking on the logo area here and selecting a brokerage logo or image, and then click Submit to update your image there. You can also edit the brokerage details by clicking on this little cogwheel and entering the brokerage name, license number, address, and details there. And most importantly, Reesio really is meant to be a collaborative product so that you can work with other brokerage members and other transaction members. So if you want to have other brokerage members join your Reesio brokerage, what you'll want to do is invite them into your Reesio brokerage. And to do so, just click on this Invite Brokerage Members button here on the left. You can enter in specific email addresses, multiple email addresses separated by comma, and click Send. What will happen then is the brokerage members will receive an email notification from Reesio letting them know that you'd like to invite them into your Reesio brokerage, and a link will be provided taking your invited brokerage members to set up a password and join your Reesio brokerage. Alternatively, you can just share this unique URL with brokerage members that you'd like to invite. So you can just copy this URL and share it with brokerage members you'd like to invite into your Reesio brokerage. That URL is unique to your brokerage, and once that URL is accessed, they'll be able to set up a password and join your Reesio brokerage. And by updating the details over here in the far left as brokerage members join, they'll be able to easily see that they've joined the correct brokerage. So the other part, main part of our transaction management product is your individual transaction dashboard. So here is your general dashboard for information across your entire brokerage. Now to drill down into a particular transaction, you'll need to go to your transactions page and go ahead and select the transaction that you would like to drill down into. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this REO transaction here. And once you're in your transaction dashboard here, You can navigate around by selecting any of these sections within the transaction up here at the top. So by default, you will be taken to your workflow section, because that's probably where you'll spend the majority of your time managing tasks that are related to transactions. You can add workflow templates. You can see how to do so in a different video on compliance and workflow that we have. But you can add tasks and manage those tasks here in the workflow section. You can see all activity related to a particular transaction by clicking on the Activity tab. And this will highlight all of the activity for this transaction, which transaction member has done what and when. It's all logged here in your Activities tab. Your document section is where you can upload documents to organize and store, as well as share with other transaction members. You can also splice documents here within the document section, and you can send documents off for e-signature here in your document section. So we have separate videos to help you get familiar with splice mode and how to send documents off for e-signature and managing folders. So you can check that out in our support center. Also, you have an offers tab up here. So Reesio does provide what we call a single property page website for your transactions. So when you create a listing transaction within Reesio, we automatically generate what we call a single property page website. And you can see what that looks like up here by clicking on this icon, single property website. So you also have your Photos tab, and this is where you can manage photos that are added to your single property page website, and of course the default photo for your transaction. So in your Photos tab here, you can add one or more photos by clicking on the Add Photos button and selecting your photos and uploading them, and then the photos will then show up here in your photo section, and you can drag and drop photos around in particular orders. You can add a caption, you can delete a photo by clicking the X there. Now if you want to manage particular transaction details, you can do so by clicking on the Details tab here. And here you can enter in important contract dates, location information, property information about the transaction. As well, you also have a private note section here. So notes are private to the transaction creator as well as their brokerage admins. So you can create as many notes as you'd like here in the note section by pressing this plus button to create a new note. Enter in a title and enter in your notes and click Save. Anytime you want to create a new note, go ahead and click the plus button to do so. You also have an internal transaction level messaging feature here. So you can send messages to other transaction members by clicking on messages here and searching for a transaction member, entering a subject and message here and clicking send. And you can do so with other transaction members that are part of your transaction. So if you go to your Members tab, here you'll be able to see the different transaction members that are part of your transaction. And you'll also be able to manage members by using groups. Now we have a separate video on how to add transaction members and also how to manage transaction members using groups, so I won't go into too much details about that. But these are the main sections here in your transaction dashboard, and you can click on any of these icons at the top to access that particular page. Up here on the right, you have the ability to add a transaction member by clicking on this icon here. And you can add transaction members by selecting their role type and then selecting, entering in the appropriate information. And we have a separate video on how to add transaction members as well. If you want to email documents into your document section for a particular transaction, you can click on this icon, which will provide you with a unique email address that's unique to this particular transaction. So if you receive several files or a large file that you want to split and work with in your document section, you can automatically email those documents to show up into your transaction by forwarding that email to this particular email address, which will then add those documents that are attached to that email in your document section here. And there is a separate video on how to email documents into the document section, so I won't go over too much details about that. You also have the ability to see your single property page website here, as well as manage your transaction settings. So as I indicated before, if Reesio does provide you with a single property page website for your listing transactions, and you can manage that preference on a transaction level here using your transaction settings. So you can indicate that for this particular transaction, you definitely want the single property page website to be turned on. Maybe you want your syndication preferences on for this particular transaction. So these settings are particular to this transaction. There's a separate place on your in your marketing page where you can manage your preference for all transactions. Now you can also assign another transaction member to be the assigned agent on the single property page website here in transaction settings, and you can do so by clicking in this space here and searching for another transaction member to assign the transaction to. So that is your transaction settings. You can also archive a transaction. So if you no longer are working with a transaction and you don't want to see it in your open transactions list, you can click on this file icon, and that will indicate that this transaction has been archived. And on the transactions page, by default, only open transactions are shown, but if you want to search for archive transactions, you can do so by filtering specifically for archive transactions. So you can unclick the open filter here, select archive, applied, and here you'll see all of your archive transactions. And if you need to unarchive a transaction, you can always do so by deselecting this file icon here. Now, if you need to change the status for a transaction, you can do so by clicking on the status and then just update the status here. You can also update the listing price if you choose to and add a custom status tag. Now, custom status tags are only visible within the brokerage. They will not be visible on your single property page website. Click Submit. And then the last thing here is your transaction summary. So in addition to your unique file number up here, the other important details for your transaction can be found in this side transaction summary tab here. So if you click on that, you can see a quick snapshot of the main photo that's used for your transaction, the address of the transaction, the current transaction members. You can click on View All to get to the members page and see all of your transaction members. And you can get a snapshot of all of the important contract details here, as important dates and prices. And if you want to edit any of these details, clicking on the Edit Details icon will take you to the details section to do so. So that is how to get around in your transactions dashboard and the different sections, and how it ties to your main transaction management dashboard.